suddenly wiped from the map. Not by war's thunderous cannons, but by the cold strokes of pens on secret treaties. What if your homeland, your identity, your very existence as a nation was erased overnight, divided like a carcass among ravenous wolves? This is the harrowing once mighty kingdom of Poland's partition, stretching from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea, when three empires, Russia, Prussia, and Austria, carved up a sovereign state, condemning its people to over a century of oppression, starvation, and cultural annihilation. Hi everyone, and welcome back to History Calling, where I bring you gripping stories from the past that blend drama, tragedy, and unvarnished truth. Today, we're diving into one of history's most shocking betrayals, the Partition of Poland. Once a European powerhouse under the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Poland was betrayed by its neighbors in three brutal acts between 1772 and 1795, vanishing from maps until its miraculous rebirth after World War I. You'll be horrified by the empire's ruthless ambition, the royal intrigues that sealed Poland's fate, and the dark mysteries of how a nation could be so utterly destroyed. But amid the tragedy, there's a glimmer of hope in Poland's unbreakable spirit, a cautionary tale of imperialism's cruelty and the resilience that defies it. Was this erasure the result of Poland's own fatal flaws, or a sinister plot by enlightened despots? Stay tuned as we uncover the brutal truths, debunk the myths of inevitable decline, and explore quotes from the very architects of this doom. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button now for more tales of royal tragedies and historical horrors. Let's keep exploring the past together. To understand this tragedy, we must step back into the turbulent world of 18th century Europe, an era of so-called enlightenment, where philosophers preached reason, but empires wielded raw power. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, formed in 1569, had once been a colossus, a vast federation covering modern-day Poland, Lithuania, Ukraine, Belarus, and parts of Russia. It boasted a unique system, an elective monarchy where nobles chose their king, and a parliament, the same, where any single deputy could veto laws with enemies. This golden liberty, or as Poles called it, was revolutionary for its time, but it sowed the seeds of chaos, paralyzing reforms and inviting foreign meddling. Enter the key players. On Poland's throne sat Stanisław August Poniatowski, elected in 1764, a handsome, cultured reformer, but tragically, a former lover of Russia's Catherine the Great. Catherine, the cunning empress who seized power in a coup, saw Poland as a puppet state. To her west loomed Frederick the Great of Prussia, a military genius with a philosopher's facade, hungry for territory to link his fragmented kingdom. And in Vienna, Maria Theresa of Austria, a devout Habsburg matriarch, reluctantly joined the fray, pressured by her son and co-ruler Joseph II, an enlightened absolutist eager for expansion. The political context was a powder keg. The age of absolutism favored strong, centralized states, but Poland's decentralized nobility made it vulnerable. Religious tensions simmered too. Orthodox dissidents in the East chafed under Catholic dominance, giving Russia a pretext to intervene. As one Russian diplomat noted in a 1767 dispatch, the Poles' liberties are but chains for their neighbors to pull. This foreshadows the doom. Foreign armies would exploit Poland's internal divisions. Debunking a myth early, many claim Poland's fall was due solely to its backward system, but primary sources like Frederick's correspondence reveal calculated greed. In a 1769 letter to his brother, he wrote, "Poland is like an artichoke, ready to be consumed leaf by leaf." From Poniatowski's birth in 1732, amid noble intrigue to his election, signs of impending tragedy were clear. A king caught between reform and foreign domination, his early life whispering of the betrayals to come. Now let's trace the inexorable march toward erasure, where ambition clashed with desperation in a drama of maps redrawn in blood. Picture this. It's 1768, and Poland's nobles rise in the Bar Confederation, a rebellion against Russian influence and Poniatowski's reforms. They cry for liberty, but their uprising invites catastrophe. Russian troops crush them, spilling into Ottoman territory and sparking the Russo-Turkish War. Seizing the chaos, Frederick proposes a balance, not peace, but partition. The first partition unfolds in 1772 like a thieves' pact. Secret negotiations in St. Petersburg seal the deal. Russia claims the east, Prussia the north, including Polish Pomerania to connect its lands, Austria the south, which the Poniatowski, powerless, watches as 30% of Polish territory and 4 million souls vanish. As Catherine quipped in a letter to Voltaire, "I have taken some bark from the tree to save the trunk." But it was no salvation. It was vivisection. The Poles, stunned, rally for reform. In the Great Sejm of 1788 to 1792, they craft Europe's first modern constitution on May 3, 1791, a beacon of Enlightenment ideals, limiting the veto and strengthening the monarchy. Yet this sparks fear abroad. Russia invades in 1792, allying with the pro-Russian Targowica Confederation of Polish traders. Defeat follows swiftly. Enter the Second Partition in 1793. Russia and Prussia alone this time. Austria sits out, distracted by France's revolution. They gobble another 42% of Poland, leaving a rump state. Poniatowski, heartbroken, confides in his diary, "My kingdom is but a shadow, devoured by those I called allies." The brutality intensifies. Russian forces massacre civilians in Warsaw's Praga district, foreshadowing worse horrors. Despair breeds defiance. Tadeusz Kościuszko, a hero of America's Revolution, leads an uprising in 1794. Peasants and nobles unite, armed with scythes against cannons. Initial victories stun the empires, but betrayal and superior might crush them. Russian General Suvorov storms Warsaw, slaughtering thousands, women and children among them. Eyewitness accounts describe streets running red, homes torched with families inside. This sets the stage for the final act. In 1795, the Third Partition erases Poland entirely. Russia takes the heartland, Prussia the west, including Warsaw, Austria the remnants. 4 million more Poles fall under foreign rule. The empires justify it as order, but as a Prussian minister admitted in dispatches, "We divide not for peace, but for power." If you're gripped by this tale of imperial greed and national agony, consider supporting the channel on Patreon for exclusive content and early access. Links in the description. Now, brace for the climax, where tragedy peaks in erasure and suffering. Here we reach the shattering peak, where a nation's soul is torn asunder, its people plunged into a century of shadows. The Third Partition of 1795 wasn't just lines on a map, it was a death sentence for Polish identity. Poniatowski, abdicating in despair, fled to Russia, where Catherine confined him until his lonely death in 1798. His final words, whispered to aides, haunt us. "Poland is no more. I die with her." The brutality was immediate and merciless. In Russian zones, Cossacks razed villages, imposing serfdom harsher than before. Starvation gripped the land as crops were seized for imperial armies. One eyewitness, a Polish noble's memoir from 1796, recounts, "The screams of the famished echoed through the snow. Mothers buried children, too weak to cry." Uprisings in 1830 and 1863 were drowned in blood. Tens of thousands executed or exiled to Siberia's frozen hell, where frostbite and hunger claimed more lives. As Tsar Nicholas I declared after 1830, "I know not Poles, only Russians who rebel." Prussia's Germanization was insidious. Polish language banned, lands confiscated, driving poverty and emigration. Austria, though milder, suppressed culture, leading to mysterious disappearances of intellectuals. Were they poisoned by agents? or did despair claim them? Conspiracies swirled. Some whispered of secret Habsburg orders to eliminate agitators. The human toll was apocalyptic. Cultural erasure through forbidden schools, churches repurposed, names changed. Famines in the 1840s, exacerbated by partition's divisions, killed hundreds of thousands. Was Poland's fate inevitable, a victim of geography? Evidence from diplomatic archives suggests not. Empires feared a reformed Poland as a liberal threat. Or was it fate cursed by internal betrayal? The slow pacing of oppression built unbearable tension. Families torn, heritage stolen, spirits broken. Yet in this abyss, seeds of resilience stirred, waiting for the storms of world wars to bloom. The partition's legacy is a stark scar on history, birthing modern nationalism while exposing imperialism's venom. Poland's erasure fueled romantic movements. Poets like Mickiewicz immortalized the Polish question, inspiring global sympathy. It destabilized Europe, contributing to the Crimean War and, indirectly, World War I, where Poland's 1918 rebirth as the Second Republic proved national spirit's endurance. In modern views, films like Pan Tadeusz romanticize resistance, but Hollywood often ignores this, focusing on Western tales, getting it wrong by oversimplifying as mere Russian conquest. Primary sources reveal a tripartite crime, with Austria's reluctant complicity adding nuance. In my opinion, this tragedy teaches the perils of division and the power of unity. Poland's revival reminds us no empire is eternal. What do you think? Could partitions have been averted? Comment below. In the end, the Partition of Poland stands as a tragic reminder of how empires can devour nations, yet the human spirit endures, rising from ashes after over a century of oppression. From Poniatowski's doomed reforms to the brutal erasures and Poland's defiant rebirth, it's a tale of horror and hope. Thanks for joining me on this journey through history's shadows. Keep learning, and remember, the past warns us for the future. If you enjoyed, give this a thumbs up, subscribe with notifications for more dramatic historical dives, and share with fellow history lovers. Check my playlists on European royals and forgotten tragedies, or support on Patreon for bonus content, links below. Next time, the mysterious death of Amy Robsart, Elizabeth I's rival. Until then, stay curious.